We have a special guest, a first-time visitor coming to Fearless, Paul Burkhart. He's got his own little podcast, and you likely never heard of him, but man, has he nailed the Shedeur Sanders deal from the giddy up. You know what? I'm going to break a little protocol here and play a clip just to warm you up. This is just a warm up before I'm going to get into the conversation, but I'm going to warm you up for Paul. Let's play SOT number 8. This is Paul before the NFL draft. When everybody was saying Shedeur Sanders was, maybe the number 1 pick in the draft and certainly a first-round pick, and he definitely, I'd bet my house he's a second-round pick. This is some guy named Paul Burkhart who we're going to get to the bottom of, like, who he is. Is he some sort of scout? Is he some sort of coach or whatever? But here he is telling everyone Shedeur's going to be a 5th-round pick. Play the clip.
One more thing. I can't help but get this off my chest, and I've been doing this a lot on X. This is the opposite of Jaden Danielson. Shedeur Sanders is being touted as the number 1 draft pick for the Cleveland Browns and whoever else wants to take him. That would be the biggest mistake. That would be a bigger mistake than taking Caleb Williams. Shedeur Sanders should not be drafted in the NFL any earlier than, say, the 5th round. And if I'm Shedeur Sanders, I legitimately consider changing positions. Seems like a good kid, but I think he's a product of his father versus being anything remotely close to a starting caliber NFL quarterback product. I don't think that's that. I think this would be on the level of a Tim Couch debacle, and God knows the other 3 dozen quarterbacks or 4 dozen, 5 dozen quarterbacks that they've had in the last 20 years. It would be an epic, epic, epic mistake to take him number 1.
Who is Paul Burkhart, and how did he nail the Shedeur Sanders deal? We'll get to the bottom of that. We'll talk about the latest.
What's up, you guys? It's the story that never goes away. Happy Thursday morning. We're with you here early again, 9:20. I will be on with Jason Whitlock at 11:15 Eastern today, so I got a little bit of time to spend with you. That's why I'm on a little bit earlier. I got the Lions gear again on, and it's crazy because I spent so much time covering Shedeur Sanders, covering LeBron James going back to Cleveland, that you would think that I do some kind of reporting or podcasting for Cleveland. I'm from Detroit. That's my team. You see it. Tommy Hearns, the Motor City Cobra, Steve Yzerman, Dan Campbell, you see it there. You see the Lions gear. But I find myself commenting about the story that just won't go away once again. And so I decided last night or yesterday sometime that I had to put out a direct message today to try to offer some help for some people that it just seems like they have Shedeur derangement syndrome, like time at 10x at this point. It's so out of control, and it's like no one can figure this out. And as you saw in the Open, and if you don't know or didn't see the Open, I'm the only person in the world that accurately predicted Shedeur Sanders to be a 5th-round draft pick. And then not only that, on January 19th, every single step along the way has been exact to prediction. The greatest prediction of my life. And, in the past 6 months, there are some big ones. Jackson Dart, or the last 2 years, Bo Nix, Jackson Dart, Jaden Daniels, Austin Reeves. There's a lot of them. But Shedeur is probably gonna take the cake forever in a day. So before I get into who this is really addressed to, other than just the people in Cleveland, guys, if you have not followed yet, on X at PB Sports Talks with an S on the end, and YouTube, which is really important to us as we're starting to spend more time, more focus, more energy like we did more in the earlier days. We're still very young. We're trying to grow. These predictions sure help us, and it really is all about you. I don't just get kicks out of these predictions. I get kicks out of these predictions to give it to you guys. When you guys hear like a load of crap from the people who have been doing this stuff for 5 and 10 and 15, 20, 25, 30 years, and they're so wrong, I enjoy being the guy from the outsider. I am not a sports reporter. I am not on the inside with these clubs. I use a lot of common sense, at least I think I do, some instinct, intuitiveness, and I was a longtime coach and a longtime entrepreneur, so I understand the human condition, human behavior, how to build teams, what's necessary to have a successful team, culture, all of those things. And then I take that and then I frame it around a team and I align it with the business side of what these sports franchises do. And then I formulate my own opinion based on what I've actually seen and studied. So at PB Sports Talk on YouTube, at PB Sports Talks on X. Appreciate you guys following, sharing, all that good stuff. Good morning, 1224. And the others, thank you for joining in. All right, so this message is not only to the folks in Cleveland. This is a direct message to Tony Grosso, Tony Grossi. There's a lot of Tonys here. Tony Grossi, Tony Rizzo, and Mary Kay Cabot. Between the three of them, they have the pulse, are supposed to have the pulse of Cleveland and everything that's going on. Now, in defense of them, it's very difficult, and I can, again, relate to this because of the Lions' history. Not now, but in the history, you never knew what they were doing. No matter how much you covered the team, no matter how much you tried, no matter how many years, decades, no matter how much you studied, they always figured out a way to invent how to lose, invent crazy decisions, and it never made sense. So for the people in Cleveland, including those reporters, you guys, you get in those weeds and the weeds keep growing around you. And it's like there's no way out. You're in a maze, like corn stalks, how they get really, really high. I think that's where you guys are. And you're kind of lost in that swamp and nothing makes sense. So I feel for you on that. So I'm here to help in some way that I can about this whole Shedeur Sanders deal. And yesterday, I think it's Rizzo that I see. It might have been Grossi. I'm not sure. I get them all confused. They just pop up all over my feed now because I do so much of this Cleveland stuff. And it's like, is he hurt? Is he not hurt? Is he going to play? Why isn't he playing? Is his back really hurt? Oh, he's practicing the day of the game. And, Mary Kay Cabot is saying, she's putting out X posts 2 hours before Sunday games talking about what a great player Shedeur is. It's just a total mess. So I get you guys. But this message is to them and to all the fans that are struggling with this. So how could some average schmo, I'm calling myself a schmo. How could some average schmo like me from Detroit, Michigan, born and raised, lived in Michigan for 53 years, relocated to Florida 7 or so months ago, how could I see this? And the people closest to this could not see this. And who's responsible for all of this? As I still hold true. All of these months later, what are we, almost November 19th. So that would make near 10 months ago, 9.5 months ago, I made the prediction. All right, let's go. Let me just reverse that for just a quick second. Rizzo or Grossi says yesterday, everyone had them at the end of the first round as an end of a first round pick. Who? Who's everyone? Mel Kiper? Who? The NFL people didn't have him there. And I don't know exactly what proof you need to have, but 32 organizations passed up on him basically 5 times. And the Cleveland Browns passed over him several times. And a lot of teams that needed quarterbacks, New Orleans, the Raiders, kind of sort of the Raiders, Geno Smith, 34 years old. You're looking for a future heir apparent. Obviously, the Giants, Tennessee, none of them took them. So, and Mel Kiper's out 2 days ago, and he's still barking. He still doesn't get it. Mel, I have a video on my YouTube. It's Mel Kiper tagged and labeled. And I know why you did what you did. You were made to look foolish. You used to be the only guy. Now there's tens of thousands of you, and you had to defend your position then, so much to where who was on the set with him? I forget who was on the set with him, but had to tell him basically to stop because you had to convince everybody that you were right and there's some sort of collusion, racism. For the 1 millionth time, none of this is racism. None of this is collusion. None of this is to teach him a lesson. As screwed up as the Cleveland Browns have been, they didn't draft him to hold him out to teach him a lesson and make some sort of example out of him. The question that is being asked, why isn't he playing, is the wrong question. Guys, girls, ladies, here's the question to ask, and it's very simple. It's the one right in front of us. Why did you draft Shedeur Sanders? What was the reason? Who was behind it? And why did you do it? In my opinion, and I said this on Jason's, yes, I understand Cam Ward was the number one overall pick, but they were a team that needed a quarterback. I believe then, and I believe now, that Stefanski and Barry and others in the organization did not want Shedeur Sanders. Jimmy Haslam stepped in and stopped it. And Bill Musgrave, who is the quarterback's coach, has a relationship with Deion, played with him, I believe it was in San Francisco, was even quoted as saying that he said to Deion he'll take care of him. Now, no one in their right mind drafts a quarterback in the 3rd round and in the 5th round that is an established franchise. What I mean by established is they're not an expansion team. And even an expansion team, you don't take it 3rd and 5th. All you're doing is taking a bunch of lighter fluid and gas and oil, and you're pouring it in this thing, and you're throwing a match. It is unfair to Shedeur. It's unfair to Dylan Gabriel. It was unfair to Joe Flacco and Pickett at the time. And Deshaun Watson, whether you care about him or not, it's unfair to the team. It's unfair to the fans. It's unfair to the coaches. It was a total gaffe. It should have never happened. Now, I don't believe he should have been drafted at all. That was my opinion then. I said 5th round, but and then I said, and if you do it in a different video. If you do it, it's a flyer, and do it at your own peril. And this is what I meant. Now, here's why I believe they're not starting him. And if anybody out there does not understand this at this point, I'm probably not going to be able to say anything today that's going to be able to help you. The quarterback position is the most important and the most cerebral and the most structured position in all of sports, and it's not close. You could say goalies in hockey. You could say pitcher in baseball. You could say a catcher because he calls all the pitches. You could say a lot of different things that might be in the stratosphere of it, but there's nothing like an NFL quarterback. Why is it that people still can't figure out that you do not draft for that position on what you perceive to be talent only or physical skill only? There is so much more that goes with that. Is Daniel Jones the most talented quarterback in the NFL? Does he have the metrics that fly off the charts? I think the answer is a resounding no. There's all sorts of people hating on J.J. McCarthy, and I'm not one of them. I told everybody who would listen, Jaden Daniels won, J.J. McCarthy 1A in that draft. Now, some of you out there have hit me up on Drake May. I said he was a development away, and that first year was sure a development. And he was very fortunate, if we're being honest, to get Josh McDaniels, who's one of the best offensive coordinators in the history of football. So that worked out really well. He's playing very well, and I'm happy for him. It wasn't Caleb Williams. I told everybody that. I told everybody Bo Nix was a guy. My point to this is say like a Bo Nix as an example, cerebral guy, 5-year senior, I stayed the extra year because of COVID, come into the NFL. I don't have it in front of me, 26, 27 years old, mature, can speak to the press, can handle himself. If you cannot handle yourself like a professional and be secure with yourself and conduct yourself in the right way. How could you do that with a team, a franchise, 52 other guys, a practice squad, coaches, staff, building, NFL, city, fans? How can you do that? You can't. And there's a whole laundry list of guys who couldn't do it. I'm not going to go through the list again. The Achilles Smith, I'll go through a few. Jamarcus Russell, Ryan Leaf, Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield 1.0. Cleveland fans, you could say whatever you want about Baker Mayfield. He wasn't ready. You cannot take Baker Mayfield from whatever he's in year 7 and say, oh, but we had him. He had to develop over that time. He needed to go through what he needed to go through to humble him and to make him better. And don't take it from me. Those are his words. Shedeur Sanders, I said this again yesterday, or somebody saw my video yesterday, that in that video that I let off here, and it says that Shedeur is a product of his father. So somebody took those words and they said, oh, he's a product of his father. His father won a Super Bowl, right? So that's a good thing, right? Why do you have to talk racist? That's what he said. What I mean by being a product of his father is he's been babied, coddled, and coached by his dad his entire life. He knows no other voice. He knows no other way. And you can say whatever you want about Deion Sanders and his coaching ability. He may not be the worst in the world. He may have been hard on his son in some way, shape, or form. But Deion was never a quality football coach. He was never anybody other than his father. And as such, you get away with things, and there's a comfort level and a certain voice you are only hearing, and you're walking from the 20 to the 10 or the 20 to the goal line or whatever it is they do. It was all about something other than football. It was a manufactured hype machine starting at Jackson State, going on to Colorado. And Shedeur Sanders was a product of what was around him, folks. Travis Hunter didn't get drafted 2nd overall for nothing. Jimmy Horn is not producing for nothing. Webster is not performing over nothing. He had a lot of guys that came in, and credit to Deion for that. He got some guys to come in, and they made him look good. And just because he was perceived, when I say he, Shedeur at 9-4 at best in Colorado was perceived to be successful, that's not successful, folks. That's not he took the world on his shoulders and he made everybody better. It's actually the opposite. They made him better. All you got to do is turn on the film. I got guys like NFL Frischella, John Frischella, who I really do respect. I respect a lot of people out there about these window throws and this. Oh, my God, he's so accurate. Guys, I'm telling you, he cannot manage himself. And this whole time that he's been with Cleveland, this has been like a real daddy daycare. This has been, see if we can get Shedeur Sanders to a level of maturity where we feel comfortable in putting him in to see if he doesn't make a total ass of himself. Because not only did he do that everywhere leading up to the draft, and everybody wants to skip over this, and I don't understand it. When you go out and act a fool at the combine and you turn everybody off, and that's a lot of it was happening behind the scenes. But then in front of the cameras, hat on backwards, jewelry everywhere, a horrible attitude saying, do you know who my father is? I can't stand repeating it. But it's like, when is everybody going to understand that these were flags and they were big red ones? And if you don't want me to come in and change your culture right away, I'm paraphrasing, then don't draft me. And they didn't draft you because they don't want your nonsense. It worked for your father at the cornerback position. It can work at some other positions. It cannot, does not, will not work at the NFL level at the quarterback position. People can say, oh, Jackson Dart, he's got some swag to him. Yep. And I wish he would curtail that a little bit, to be honest with you. But I don't believe he talks or acts that way to his team. And he definitely doesn't talk that way to the press. He conducts himself as a professional, and I do not believe the Giants, and especially in New York, it's not easy because they're going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at the guy. He's prepared to handle the moment. Shedeur was never prepared to handle the quarterback of an NFL team moment. He has been constructed, engineered, and created to be a reality TV type person, a brand builder. Grab your attention to pay attention to this because I'm selling it, or it's, my rapping, or it's my song, or whatever it is. The Cleveland Browns, the question is, why did you draft that? You knew it. All the teams knew it. Brady worked them out. This is my opinion. I didn't talk to Tom Brady about this. This is my opinion. Tom Brady saw what I saw. He's limited in terms of a quarterback as it relates to transitioning at the NFL level, and he was lacking all of the maturity. And Brady, I mean, don't take my word for it. Brady said it to his father on a podcast. Stop with the Rolls Royces, get in the room and study film. Folks, this is really not hard to understand. I personally do not believe this. Again, it's just my opinion. You can hit me up for whatever you want on it. It's my opinion, which I'm entitled to. I do not believe that Shedeur Sanders ever really wanted to be an NFL player. I believe his father egged that along and pushed that along. Now, I am somewhat of an authority in this way, and that coaching middle school, high school, and AAU to watch what parents do, and none of them that I ever coached were on Deion Sanders' level, okay? But what they try to do and how they try to groom somebody, and a lot of times I witnessed people playing sports that they didn't really want to, but other people did. And the people who control the decisions in the household, the parents, did. And the peer pressure over here of what my friends are doing, and will I or will I not be accepted if I don't play? And, they're going to go play travel hockey or whatever it is, and I'm not going to do it, then I won't have my friends. There's all sorts of pressure coming from multiple areas as to why you should or shouldn't do something in the sports world, in the sports field. If your father is named Deion Sanders, oh my gosh, what do I have to live up to? And I feel for him in that regard. My father, though he passed away when I was 17, I didn't have to try to live up to something like that. I can't even imagine being the son of a Hall of Famer, of a superstar, of an all-pro, whatever you want to say. I couldn't even imagine it because I know the way that I am. I would, on my own, I would feel like I had to live up to that. So in that respect, that's not easy. People could say he had a privileged life and all that stuff. I'm sticking up for Shedeur Sanders that that's not an easy life in a lot of ways. Their choices, I get it. And we're defined by the choices we make. I get it. But you grow up in that shadow, it's not easy. It's not. I believe Shedeur Sanders is a brand builder. I think he wants to be a rapper. I think he wants to be kind of a reality show star. He's got all the money he needs and more is coming in. He has a good brand. He has a personality. He's got a bursting smile. There's a lot of things he can do. And I've said this all along, that he would be out of the NFL in 3 years from the day that he was drafted. And I still hold true to that. I don't think he's going to land anywhere. I really don't think he wants to land somewhere, folks. But to Tony, Rizzo, and Grossi, and Mary Kay Cabot, ask the right questions. Why did you draft Shedeur Sanders? What was the reason? I think it's right in front of us. Jimmy Haslam did a favor. Because for Shedeur, look at what happened when Shedeur slipped. Again, I don't like to say slip because that would imply or suggest that he was supposed to go higher. He wasn't supposed to go higher. Bill Parcells, your record is what you say what it says you are. Same thing here. He was a 5th-round pick in their eyes. If he wasn't a 5th-round pick in their eyes, somebody would have taken him a whole lot sooner. They'd have been lining up to do it. And this old Baltimore was going to take him and all this other nonsense. And I didn't want to play for Baltimore. I don't really believe it. I know a little bit about the Harbaugh family from growing up in Michigan. John Harbaugh would have sat his ass down for 3 years. And they'd have put him at number 3 and see if they can do something similar to what Cleveland's doing. See, but at least Baltimore has structure. They have sustainability. They have a proven track record of how to do it. John Harbaugh, though I think the game is catching up to him a little bit, and he might not have what he used to have, he built, and Ozzie Newsome prior as the GM, built a world-class organization. For years, it's been a plug and play. Shedeur Sanders was not a plug and play guy. They needed to mature this guy. When you hear he's not ready, we're working. Well, what do you think that means? How much do these guys, they can't come out and say it. How much in code do they have to say for you guys to really realize Cleveland's in bad shape? I do think Dillon Gabriel could be a very good quarterback. I've actually called him potentially the franchise quarterback for that team. He's in an impossible situation. And by the way, for all of you out there, look at what conference he played in. Many of the guys at the NFL level he played against. Give me a break. He's too short. He was playing against the same guys. It's not like he was playing in a mid-major or some, Division III team where everybody on the defensive line was 5'11". He's playing against the same 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" guys. Another question you can ask, and I hate to say this too, because he was coach of the year just a few years ago, but Kevin Stefanski has to be asked questions. Why are so many quarterbacks not succeeding in your offense? Is it the receivers? Is it the running back? Is it always those guys? Is it always the offensive line? Or is it maybe schematically you? Or is it maybe that you're a little bit too conservative and you won't just let these guys go? Now, the argument about Flacco, oh my God, that's Kevin Stefanski's fault because look at what Flacco's doing over in Cincinnati. Oh my God. Let's be real a little bit. That they don't have Jamar Chase and they don't have T. Higgins, like that's real. That is not my opinion. That is actual fact. Cleveland has nothing to compare to that. They have better tight ends, but they have nothing to compare on the outside. Either one of those wide receivers can get away from any coverage. Flacco doesn't have to throw them open. They get open. Jerry Jeudy, go ask Steve Smith Jr. what he thinks of Jerry Jeudy. And while Jerry Jeudy might be a little bit better than he was around the time of Steve Smith's comments, Jerry Jeudy is a number 2 or number 3 at best. And people have argued this with me. He's not some deep, long throw guy like a Jamar Chase. Oh, that's what we got him for. Some guy said that's what we got him for. In what world? He's like 14.5 a catch. It's not terrible. I get it. But he isn't some Deshaun Jackson kind of guy that can just totally take the top off of defense and run past everybody. Or like a Jameson Williams. It's not there. So Stefanski's responsible for this a lot. He's turned over the offensive coordinator duties again, or the play calling duties again. It's just dysfunctional. And in Shedeur's defense, if he was in there, I don't think he would succeed on that basis. I don't think he's good enough to succeed in any offense, but he definitely can't succeed in that dysfunction going on there. And clearly, I don't think Dillon Gabriel can either. They asked, this is what it's resorted to in Cleveland. They asked Dillon Gabriel, and I'm paraphrasing again, are you reluctant or afraid to throw the ball down the field? They ask him that question. He says, no. There's a number of things that go into that. And then he said, like he should, even though he probably doesn't mean it, including myself, he says. What he's basically saying without saying, if you read between the lines, is there's freaking dysfunction. The offense is not really designed that way. The protection's not there. The skill set of the wide receivers is not there. And he himself is taking some of that and saying, I'm not going down the field because there's all these things going wrong. I put a 5-6 minute compilation of his statistics or of his film against teams like Ohio State. He's throwing the ball on a dart, 30, 40 yards. He's throwing perfectly layered passes. If you listen to Brady last week in the Detroit-Minnesota game, he did a phenomenal job. 1 ball, 2 ball, 3 ball. Dillon Gabriel can throw all 3 of those. He can laser the ball in, folks. I'm telling you, he's got more arm strength than anybody's given him credit for. He can throw the 2 ball and he can layer in the deep ball. But any quarterback needs time to do that. And they need an offensive scheme and design and structure to do that. If you put Dylan Gabriel with Sean McVay, he's going to be light years better. Dysfunction in culture creates more dysfunction, or a culture that's dysfunctional creates more of that. It does it in your workplace. Does it in your home? What makes you think it's any different for the Cleveland Browns? Because they're a sports franchise, there must not be any of that. It's infested, and it's led by people like Myles Garrett, and it's festering, and it's spreading like mold spores in a roof of a house, and it can kill you. And that's what's happening. So Tony, and Mary Kay asked the question, why did you draft Shedeur Sanders? Not why isn't he playing? By now, everybody should know Deion Sanders is one of the most insecure athletes in the history of sports. There's been many. He's one of them. His son is just like him. That's why he acts the way he acts. You don't need to be a human behavior specialist to realize this. The guy will do anything and everything for attention and focus on himself. He is a me guy, not a we guy. And that's how his father was. The difference between Shedeur and his father is his father was one of the best in the world at his position. And it translated to the NFL, and he could act that way as a cornerback. Shedeur never had anything remotely close to the talent of his father at the quarterback position, and you cannot act like that. Not at the pro level. Not at the pro level. You can't act that way. You cannot act that way and be an NFL quarterback. Your shelf life will be less than, I don't know, lunch meat. This is just, it's mind-boggling to me. And they just keep on going, and they keep on going, and they keep on going. For the record, one final time, even with some of the things that he is and that has held him back, and remember this, folks, no one held Shedeur Sanders back except for Shedeur Sanders and his father. Do you understand that both of them acted this way because they knew he wasn't good enough? Did that ever cross your mind? Did that ever cross your mind? The need to push him the way that they did and shove it down your throat the way that they did, why would you have to do that? Why can't your actions speak on merit? Deion knows in his heart, he's never going to tell you this, it's on me, it's on me. He's never going to tell you this, but he has not been a success at Colorado. Did he bring attention to the program? Yeah. Deion brings attention to anything he does. Was it just like, oh my God, Shedeur Sanders, somebody who, was it Hushmanzada, I think, said this. You know, the greatest indicator of how good Shedeur Sanders is, look at how bad they are now without him. What? Like what? So Shedeur Sanders was the reason they went 9-4? Hello? Travis Hunter was your wide receiver and your cornerback doing things that we've never seen. And he was the number 2 overall pick, and many had him number 1 on their board, including me. I mean, it takes years off my life to try to get this out. He's not good enough. To finish what I was saying, if he was as good as so many people out there think he is, the Cleveland Browns would find a way to get him in there. Because it's the NFL. I think it's twofold. He's not good enough, and he damn sure can't lead a team. He can't lead himself. When I used to hire people, and I'm sure I will again at some point, I was not just looking at what their resume said. I was looking at how they conducted themselves. I mean, this is the most basic level. Maybe I was investing $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. Some of them were $100,000, $120,000. When you're going to start investing 10, 15, 20, 25 million and up, and his rookie contract, I understand, was not all of that where he was taken, but you're evaluating the person and you're taking the person and you're putting them in certain situations that you know will come. And how does he fit in that picture? Does he succeed? Does he sink? Does he swim? Does he succeed? Does he fail? Does he do okay? Does he project to be a lifelong learner? Is he committed to his craft? Will he let nothing or no one get in his way? These are questions that are being asked in these rooms, in these meetings, and in the minds of the people who are making the decisions. This is elementary. It's literally elementary. I know, Cleveland, you're desperate. You know you guys can't turn around your franchise and your city and your team and your dog pound unless you have a quarterback to lead the troops. I get it. I get it. For long enough, we had the Eric Hipples and I'm going back, Bob Galliano and Mike McMahon and Scott Mitchell. I could go through a whole slew of guys. Rodney Peete, Andre Ware. Like, oh my God. Then it was Stafford. And I even believe he was below the bar because of certain things that he did in terms of being out of shape his first 7-8 years. And he couldn't understand an offense. That's being real. But make no mistake about it, Shedeur Sanders is no Matthew Stafford. Even then, Charlie Batch, good call. Yeah, Charlie Batch, he was the next savior coming out of a mid-major. What was he, Eastern Michigan, I believe? I think it was Eastern. And he was the next savior on Bobby Ross's team. I mean, so we've been through the same thing. So I get the delusion that you guys are going through. I could really relate to it. I've lived it. I've seen it. I've cried with it. Literally. Like Aaron Rodgers on Thursday Night Football against to-watch Jim Caldwell. And he drops back and throws a Hail Mary. And Rodgers, the tight end, catches the ball. We haven't heard of him ever since. But man, that ball's flying through the air. And I was at the game where Favre rolled out. Unbelievable environment at the Silverdome back in the day. When Brett Favre rolls out and Porsche's chasing him, and he's going way to one side, and he heaves the ball up so freaking high that you would think it would, I'm exaggerating, but so high you thought it was going to hit the dome. And you're following the ball, and it's going, and you look down, and there's Sterling Sharp. Kevin Scott, number 38, was trailing the play by about a full car length. And drops right in Sterling Sharp's arms. This is a great story. And we're in the club level. And behind us is Ron Wolf, the great Ron Wolf, and the whole Packers brass. And the whole game, I was never really into that, but the people around me is, oh, you suck, you suck, you suck. When that happened, and I got the chills right now, when that happened, every single person in that booth was going ballistic. So my point to this is, I know it. I get it. I feel you. So I'm just trying to help you. Shedeur Sanders is not your guy. So stop banging your head. And imagine this, that you guys would go through this. So you've got these picks lined up and everybody's talking about the quarterback that you should draft next year. You just drafted 2 of them. And many of you are complaining that one of them isn't even getting a chance, but you're already doing your mock drafts for next year. Nuts. So Cleveland fans, start blowing up your feed. Reporters, ESPN Cleveland, Grossi, Rizzo, Cabot, start asking the question. Ask somebody. I doubt Mary Kay will do it because I think it's pretty obvious to see. And some people from Cleveland have told me she's basically the messenger for Haslam. So I doubt she's going to ask Jimmy Haslam, why exactly did you do this? Why did you draft him? I don't think they're going to ask him, but that's the question I think that should be asked. So that's that on that. As far as LeBron James, I'm going to save that. And Jason Whitlock just appeared on my phone. Sorry, Jason. I'm live. I'm going to save that for Jason's show because I know that's one of the topics that Scap and I will be going over. So I've got some pretty powerful thoughts on that. Yes, Favre to Sterling Sharp. Yeah. Yeah, Sharp had a broken foot on that play, turf toe. All right. So anyways, that is the message to the Cleveland folk. Hang in there. I know it's tough. You guys will get it, but it isn't Shedeur Sanders. Give Dylan Gabriel a chance here. Let the guy open it up a little bit. I don't think he's as bad as you guys think he is. So hang in there, guys. If you're not doing anything, catch the Jason Whitlock show, Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I'll be on I believe it's the B block, 11:15 Eastern Standard Time. There's a number of different topics. LeBron is one of them. And Jay and I go back and forth on that quite a bit and have before. So join us on that. Subscribe to Jason's channel on YouTube and give him a 5-star rating on that offense run on the back of Chubb. Give a 5-star rating to Jason on Apple. That's a big help to the show. So thank you, guys. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon, and hopefully you tune in. Have a great Thursday. Bye-bye now.